So here we have the website of Acción Social por la Juventud, one of the organizations of this project. In this website, we can find different information about the organization, and as any other website, it has three basic elements. On one hand, it has a domain name, the address that we can see at the top. The domain is the unique name that identifies the website and with which any internet user can find it. Also, the files and information of this website are hosted in a physical server, making available for everyone to access it. The physical server is provided by a hosting service. Last but not least, this website is built through a software. In the case of website design, the software for creating web pages are called Content Management Systems, CMS. In the case of this website, the CMS is Wordpress. Now that we have identified the different parts of a website, let's start from the beginning. The first step, it will be to get ourselves a domain name. There are a lot of different companies that offer these services, but in this case, I'm going to use Ionos to show you the example. The first thing that you need to do is to think of a domain name that everyone will identify with your organization. It's easy to remember and relevant to your website content. In the case of an organization, the name of your organization would be a perfect option. In this page, you will find a search bar in which you can search for your desired domain name. In this case, I'm going to use NGO Village. Here we have different results of our search. The domain name is composed by the website name and the extension. Some examples of extensions are .com, .eu, .net, etc. So if your name is not available with a certain extension, it may be available with others. Consider that there are some extensions that are more demanded than others, and thus they may be more expensive, for example, .com. Also, consider your website audience when you are choosing your extension. For example, being NGO Village an European project, we are using .eu. You can review different domain registrars and compare the pricing for domain registration. Also, each company has different offers and include different services. It is important to say that when we are acquiring this service, we are not buying the domain name itself. We are only renting it for a determined period of time. It's because that is important to check not only the price for the first year, in this case £1. It's also important to check the renewal fees, in this case £10 per year. You can also in this menu select for how much time do you want to rent your domain. Then you just have to buy it and you will have your domain ready to go. Now that we have our domain name, let's go with setting up the hosting. The hosting is the space of physical server where all the files and data of our web page are hosted in order to make it functional. There are a lot of different hosting service providers that are in charge not just of hosting all the data, but also of distributing the information around the internet so the web page is visible everywhere in the world. There are many hosting services available, each with different features and pricing. In my case, I'm using Seted, but you can use any you want. In this page, we are going to Hosting WordPress. And now we are going to Start Now. Most of the hosting service companies, they will offer you to register the domain with themselves, so that's another option that we can do. But in my case, I will use my own domain. Then you can choose if you want to have the service monthly, quarterly, annual, or biannual. If you choose to do it annual or biannual, you may get some savings. Then you just have to fill your personal information and make the payment. Once we have finalized with the payment, we can start going with the customer area. This is the customer area of our hosting service. In here, we have the hosting of our website with the domain name. And here we can enter in cPanel, the system from where we can manage our website. This is the C panel. This is the control panel of our hosting service. In here, we can find different options to manage our website, from email to files, databases, domains, metrics, security, software. But what we are going to do is to go in software to Installation Applications Installer, because from here, there's a lot of different applications that we can install, from which we can find WordPress, that it's what we're going to install. So WordPress, as we said, is the CMS with which we will we will design our website. So we're going to install the application. In the WordPress installer, there's a series of settings that you will need to configure. Let's get through them. First, you will have to choose a location to install WordPress. This is the domain. Then you will have to decide what version of WordPress do you want to install. Normally the hosting service will tell you what is the recommended version, and also you can decide what language you want to install WordPress. Then you will have to accept the license agreement. Then you can decide if WordPress, their plugins and their themes are automatically updated, and you can decide to create a backup and automatically restore it if the update fails. Then we have some general settings as administrator username, administrator password, administrator email, and the website title and the website tagline. Then there are some advanced settings that I don't recommend to use right now. You can just make the system to manage it for you. Once we set everything up, it's the time to install WordPress. And just after a few seconds, we have our website set up and ready to go. We have our domain name, we have our hosting service, and we have the CMS installed, WordPress. So now we are ready to start editing and creating our web page.